What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So, let's talk about something that I keep seeing online, YouTube comments, Facebook groups. It's everywhere. And it kind of goes in theme with last week's video about expensive import guitars, Epiphones specifically. So today, let's talk about the other side of it. Let's talk about Gibson and why Gibson keeps making these $50,000 limited edition guitars, right? And stuff like this, these $20,000 Murphy Labs and all of this stuff, right? Why are they doing this? Well, believe it or not, it's kind of similar to the Epiphone thing. Like the reason why Epiphone's making higher end import guitars. But one of the things we're going to have to talk about, and let's try and keep this civil, and let's try and not really get into like the politics of it, okay? I'm not a political channel. I don't talk about politics. I don't want to be political, so I'm going to try to steer this conversation away from that. But it does have a lot to do with the economy and where the economy is at, and it's a pretty direct reflection of the basic state of the economy. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's insane. The economy's not awesome, so why are they making $50,000 guitars? That's exactly why they're making $50,000 guitars. So, break it down like this, okay? We're going to use some terms here, and these terms aren't derogatory. They're not directed at anyone anyone specifically. They're just generic terms we're going to use to describe different economical groups of people, okay? That's all they are. So no one get mad. You have wealthy people, rich people, you have middle-class people, you have lower middle-class people, you have poor people, okay? Those are just the terms, right? So, let's just say pre-2020, because we all know what happened in 2020, right? So, pre-2020, if you were a middle-class person, you had some degree of disposable income, and you could afford, a $3,000 Gibson if you wanted to, or a whatever, right? And it wasn't, not a willy-nilly purchase you can just make without thinking about it, but, I bought a couple guitars, everything was fine, right? Didn't really have to worry about things, right? 2024 isn't like that. 2023 wasn't like that. And it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better, right? So what's happened in our economy is rich people are just as rich as they were. Poor people are just as poor as they were, right? Where this is really hitting is the middle class, which is the majority of the country, right? So if you were someone 4 or 5 years ago that could afford a $3,000 guitar, maybe you could afford a $5,000 guitar. Now you probably can't, right? So you're looking at things like $1,500 Epiphones because you can't afford $5,000 Gibsons or even $3,000 Gibsons, right? So why make $50,000 guitars? Because the economy doesn't affect rich people like it affects middle-class people. The economy doesn't even affect poor people like it affects middle-class people. Okay, people that couldn't afford a $300 guitar in 2019 still can't afford a $300 guitar. So the economy doesn't really affect them. It doesn't affect the ends of the spectrum like it does the middle of the spectrum. Middle-class people. It pushes everyone in the middle class down towards the end of being poor. is what it does. And that's what's happened with our economy over the past few years. Inflation's gotten out of control. Again, not going to get into the politics of the why of that, but that's just what's happened. The economy's not great. So, Epiphone is making high-end imports for the people that can no longer afford $3,000 Gibsons. In 2019, if you could afford a $50,000 guitar in 2019, you can still afford a $50,000 guitar in 2024, right? The economy collapsing doesn't affect rich people the way it affects middle-class people, okay? So, Gibson, they would rather sell $50,000 guitars to very wealthy people as opposed to try and sell $3,500 guitars to a demographic that is shrinking and shrinking every day. And I could just leave the video there and that be it, because that's just it. Why try and sell and market toward a demographic of people that is shrinking on a daily basis, right? When you can sell these crazy limited edition, right, $50,000 guitars to rich people, and they sell out in 5 minutes. And everyone on the internet pretending like these guitars are ridiculous or they're stupid or something like that isn't paying attention. Because all these guitars sell out in a matter of hours, not days, not weeks, not months. They sell out in hours. Okay, when this new Jimmy Page double neck $50,000 thing comes out, it will sell out immediately. They're going to sell 50 guitars for 50 grand a piece. Okay? Of course, it didn't cost them anywhere near that amount of money to manufacture that guitar. We know that. Everyone knows that. You don't have to be in the guitar business to know it doesn't cost $25,000 to manufacture a guitar. It doesn't, okay? They're making tons of money off these guitars. But they're only making 50 of them. Or 100 of them, or whatever it's going to be, right? So they're kind of manufacturing their own scarcity, right? Which adds value to it. So they are purposely marketing towards a demographic of rich people because rich people are the only people with any money left, right? So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. There's a lot of, that's an oversimplification for sure, but that's the main aspect of why they're doing what they're doing. Because it's becoming increasingly more difficult for middle-class people to afford the guitars they used to afford 4 or 5 years ago. And so people that are still in the middle class are looking at, because our money doesn't go nearly as far, even though we're making more money than we were, the money's worth way less. So, 5 years ago, I might have been looking at a $3,000 Gibson. Now I'm looking at a $1,500 Epiphone because the money that you make as a middle-class American doesn't stretch nearly as far as it used to. But if you're worth millions of dollars, you're still worth millions of dollars. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why they're making these limited edition guitars. And these things are good investments. And that's what they are. I see so many people saying things like, these guitars aren't even meant to be played. They're not, blah, 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 all this stuff. And it's like, do you even think about what you say before you type it out and put it in the comments? Because the difference between a guitar and a baseball card or a Pokemon card or a whatever it might be, so any other kind of memorabilia, collectible, etc., is that you can play them. Yeah, these guys that buy these $50,000 guitars, they sit at home and play them. They do, right? And they take them out and they show them to their friends and they all talk about them. And, they smoke $500 cigars and drink $1,000 bottles of whiskey while they do it. And that's who these things are for. Because those are the only people with any money left. So, does it make Gibson more of like a lifestyle, collectible, memorabilia brand? $300 leather jackets? Like, sure, but okay. Like, they're a business. I'm not like gonna chastise them for what they're doing. They're a business. They have people that work for them. Those people have families. Those people are going through the same issues me and you are going through with the economy and money and everything else. And they want to continue to provide those people with jobs. So when the economy does what it's done, as a business, you have to change your marketing tactics. You just have to. If the middle class doesn't have any money, there's no point in marketing toward them. Right? Do you have the money to afford a $4,000 guitar right now? Do you? Do you? Because I can tell you that the people that are interested in $50,000 guitars, they have the money to afford it right now. When Gibson comes out with a $50,000 guitar, they'll sell them. Because all the people that are interested in that guitar have the money right now to buy it. Do you have the money right now to buy the next $3,000 guitar Gibson comes out with? Maybe you do. But a lot of people don't. They used to a few years ago, but they don't anymore. So that's why Gibson's doing what they're doing. And other brands are doing the same thing too. Look at brands like Marshall. This whole thing with Marshall that's been going on lately, where Marshall has they came out and said that their profits last year, only 5% of their profits were from selling guitar amps. Right? The rest of their profits were from merchandise and something like 75% of their profits were from Bluetooth speakers. Right? And they've said going forward that their new amplifier endeavors are all going to be digital. Because, one, they're cheaper to manufacture. Two, you can argue about this all day long, but they sound just as good. They sound just as good. The digital stuff sounds just as good. Right? The younger generation that is getting into guitar right now and buying guitar equipment, they don't care about this. They don't care. They don't care at all. Why would they? Most of them have never even played through one of these. They haven't. Right? A 17-year-old kid that's learning how to play guitar, that's starting his first band, he's probably never even played through one of these. Why would he? Why would he? He has a laptop and an interface, and he has every guitar amp that's ever existed at his immediate disposal. Why would he buy one of these? Right? If he wants to play a show with his band, I'm going to knock my camera over. He buys something like this. And he goes to the venue and he plugs it in through the PA system. Or he takes a powered monitor with him. Or he buys a digital amp, like a Fender Tone Master or something like that. Because it has presets and built-in effects and DI out on the back of it, right? Why would they buy this? The only reason that when I say we, I mean people like of my generation, right? Like I'm almost 40, okay? The only reason people like us buy these things is because it's nostalgic. They're cumbersome, they're inconvenient, they're way too loud. The tubes they're just inefficient. The tubes are a problem, right? No one cares about this anymore. Companies aren't stupid, okay? Like they They have entire departments of people that study this stuff, that look at analytics. Why do you think Marshall's, why do you think 5% of their sales, that's it, was amplifiers? Why do you think that? Because nobody bought any amps last year. No one bought any amps. Okay, they bought Bluetooth speakers, and they bought quad cortexes, and they bought helixes. That's the kind of stuff people are buying. Right? I have 2 of these. I have a spare bedroom down the hall in my house that has another 412 cabinet and a 100-watt PV butcher, all tube PV butcher sitting in it that I've never used. I've never used. It's just sitting in that room. I'm never going to use it. I haven't even turned this on since November. It's March 27th, I think, the day I'm filming this video. I think that's what today's date is. I haven't turned this thing on since November of last year. Haven't even turned it on. I just, a few weeks ago, moved it into my house. It was sitting in my band's rehearsal space, just sitting in the corner while I played through a in-ear rig with a head rush. Right? Like no one's buying these. So, companies aren't stupid. That's just what's happening in the world right now. Right? These things are huge and they're expensive. And people aren't buying them. And just is what it is. So that's kind of I guess a little dual video for you today. Kind of the modern state of guitar playing. But the main thing, kind of went off on a tangent about the Marshall thing there at the end, but it kind of ties in. But the main thing is these companies are paying attention and they're going to transition their marketing to reflect how they can make money. Okay, Marshall can't make money selling amps. Gibson can't make money selling cheap guitars. What they deem to be a cheap Gibson, a $2,000 Gibson, it just, no one's buying them. Right? So they're going to make guitars for the demographic of people that have the money to spend on the guitars, and that's wealthy people. Just is what it is. So hopefully the economy turns around, things get back on the up, and the middle class actually has some purchasing power with their money. Again, I'm not going to get into an economics lesson here, but the economy sucks. No one's got any money. So if a company like Gibson wants to keep expanding and profiteering at the rate that they are, they have to market towards the people who have money. And the people that have money don't want to buy the same thing everybody else wants to buy. They just don't. That's the whole thing about being a wealthy elite. You want to feel special. They want something unique. They want something no one else has. So they want limited edition guitars and relic versions of their heroes guitars. They want relic versions of Jimmy Page and Kirk Hammett and Adam Jones's guitars. Like, that's the stuff they want. That's the stuff rich people want. So that's what Gibson's going to do. Since that's really the only place we're going to make any money, that's what they're going to do. So, hope you enjoyed that. There's your economics breakdown from someone in the guitar business's point of view, right? If you are a little more interested in this topic, go watch my last video about Epiphone. I kind of explained it more from the import side and from like someone who's in the guitar business and deals with importing guitars, like how, that aspect of the business is being affected by the economy and stuff like that too. So sort of a part 2 to that video, if you will. It's not all doom and gloom over here though. I've got some cool guitars that I've picked up and I'm going to do some more demo stuff coming up here soon. So we're going to get back on track soon. But I figured these were 2 really important videos to make. To see a lot of people online just spewing a lot of opinions that are very uninformed and very just like kind of reactionary. And I mean, I get it. I understand. Like, I understand why people would get outraged about this kind of thing, especially when you don't understand why it's happening. So hopefully this can kind of put things into some perspective to where you can kind of understand why. And this is just my perspective from being in the industry and also from just being a big Gibson fan and following Gibson and kind of seeing how it parallels some of our own market practices and the things that we've had to do and other companies I know have had to do. You know, it just is what it is. Things are getting more expensive. Manufacturing costs is getting more expensive. Labor is more expensive. Shipping is more expensive. Everything's more expensive. So that's just kind of the state of the world at the moment. So hope y'all liked the video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Again, don't get in the comment section and just blow it up and start talking a bunch of politics, okay? Arguing politics on the internet has never done anyone any kind of good whatsoever. So, you know, there are political reasons as to why this stuff is happening, but I'm not going to get into it. So thank y'all for tuning into the channel, and I'll be back soon with some actual guitar demo content. See y'all soon.